Welcome to Memoir Church. I am Roland Tech, and this is Suze Allen, as if you didn't know. And I'm delighted to be here. And I always get thrilled when you ask me to do this because I love your work
Aw.
and I love to talk to you about your work. One of the things that I really love about the memoir stuff of yours that I've so far encountered is the way that you deal with your antagonists. So I'm wondering, how do you approach that? And also tied into that question, sorry I'm asking such a long question, but I also want you to address how do you deal with the fact that some of the people that you're writing about are still in your life and that um yeah, how do you navigate that?
Well, I will tell you right off the bat, this piece was written and revised and rewritten, and I was waiting for my mother to die before, because she's the antagonist in the
Yeah, right,
piece, really, if there is one,
right.
because she was always jealous of my relationship with my grandmother, and she was taking care of her, and we were worried about it, and she was drinking while she was taking care of her with her Alzheimer's, and so. And, I did a lot, when I had beta readers, I was like, does it seem like I'm just bashing my mother, because that's not my intent, but I did want to tell the truth of the truth. She made it very hard.
Right.
Um, and people said there was some sympathy there for her, so I'm glad. So that's how I deal with the people that are still alive. The only person that's really still alive are my Aunt Elaine and my Uncle Russell, who are in the piece. And it's my Uncle Russell asked for me to send him the manuscript, so I'm excited. He said he wanted to see his mother through my eyes.
Oh,
So that felt really good to hear. Um, but I think that um, the antagonist, it was hard. When I started writing the book, I just wanted to show all the love between me and this woman who I adored, my French Canadian grandma. But the thing was that it was oftentimes hard won. We had to steal our moments until I was older, and then I could go see her myself. But my mother always wanted the three of us to be together. It just impeded our time together, and she was always giving us these furtive glances. And then, if God forbid, if my sister was there, if it was the four of us, it got even more crunchy. So I did realize that I needed to put my mother in there. And just the difference, I think, sometimes of how if you have a difficult parent, it can skip a generation, like,
right.
like I went up to my grandmother, she was more of, she saw me, she heard me, and that's really what I wanted in my mom, but that's not what I got. So I was very lucky.
Mm. Um, how do you there are relationships in this piece that evolve over years of your life, right? And
Mhm.
how do you approach just tracking the shapes of relationships over time when you're writing something that's really episodic?
Well, I feel like I don't mean to sound precious about it because I'm not at all. I mean, the writing process is the writing process, but I think for me, if I can enter into a memory, I can kind of channel it. So I began to see like what were the key moments that I wanted to tell
Oh,
about her, and then entering in
go
and
ahead of
seeing
time.
like
Yeah.
yeah, and her, and then more came to me. But just I remember I had a lot of memories from when I was very little, but I could only remember like an apron or being held or and seeing faces. And so if I entered into that, and then I came to know the faces as I grew, so I can write from that perspective. And I think that's the beautiful thing about writing memoir. You can write yourself from a very young age with those people in it, and some of it is curated, but you know them from another time, and without catapulting to later in your life seeing them, you can be that 4-year old child and see them clearly because you're writing it from looking back. And so
Right.
that's been, and then what was so great about the process was just living, getting to live with my meme again, on the page, and just those memories. So it was glorious to write, and, hard because reliving her death and the way that she had to go. Mhm.
you think that she ever had an inkling that you either were or would one day be writing about her?
I love that question. Um, well, I used to write all the time as a kid, and I would make my grandparents, they were such good audiences. They loved whatever I did. So I would hold them captive and read them little stories and things. So I can imagine she would think that I would have written about her, you
Oh,
know?
that's so great. That's so
Yeah,
great. I
because she
love
knew
that.
I was a storyteller, and my uncle is a poet, her son, Russell, and my grandfather was a writer, but I never got to read any of his stuff because my Aunt Elaine said it was there was some pornographic things in it, and then he had asked her to burn them when he died, and she did, and I quite never forgave her for that. But so there was writing in the family, so I think that she probably, it wouldn't surprise her that I wrote about her.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think that's a great place to stop the interview and start the reading. So you have some stuff for us that you want to, I mean,
I
well,
do.
take
I
it
will
away.
say, okay, okay. Um, so let's see here. Um, this is a my this I took little excerpts from chapters because they tend to be, long because I go off on these wonderful tangents that bring it back at the end. So I was trying to have an idea of people to have an idea of who she was, some fun stuff. And this one just cracks me up. It's called The Teddy. And my grandmother and I had been to visit her mother-in-law, my great Grams, who was very mean to her. And we were going home from Portsmouth, driving together. And I'm about to be married in a couple of months. And this is the conversation we had in the car. The Teddy. Meme insists on taking Old Route 1 home from visiting Great Grams, even though the drawbridge could be up and leave us sitting for an hour. I'm driving her old white Buick. I call it the boat because every time you open the 25-pound doors, trapped rainwater sloshes back and forth. When the coast is clear for pulling out onto Route 1, Meme yells, "Tromp on it!" It's a direct quote from Bob McGurk, the drunken Irish husband of Meme's older sister, Yvonne. Meme always quotes him when the coast is clear. Today, though, there's agitation in her tone when she says it. I navigate the boat around some slowpoke and wait to find out what she's thinking. That Bob McGurk, she shakes her head in disgust. He was something. You know, your grandfather started down that certain path too. Drinking, staying out nights. But I wouldn't have it. He came home one night stinking like spirits, and when I sassed him about not being able to find his way to the dinner table, he raised his hand to me. I stopped his hand in midair and looked him in the eye, and I said, "Lon, is this how it's going to be? Because I don't like it." He lowered his fist and he said, "No, Rose, it isn't."
Mm.
And he ate his dinner and went to bed. And that was the last of that. My sister, did she ever put up with it? Bob drank so much he couldn't be a good husband, if you understand what I'm saying. I never had that with Larry. He was good to me in that regard. I wouldn't put up with what Yvonne did. I just drive and keep my mouth shut, picturing all 5 feet of my beloved grandmother stopping my 6'4" drunken grandfather's hand in midair and having great makeup sex afterwards. Good for her. I always learn something new in these drives, but this is a doozy.
Mm.
What else do you need for the wedding, darling? Meme is picking her nails with an ancient nail file. Her feet barely touch the floor. I am getting married in 2 weeks. I think I'm finally set. I hope anyway. Ugh, I'm sick of shopping. How about I buy you something for the wedding night? I look over. Meme is serious. Like what? I am tickled. Like a teddy. Something special and festive. I can take you to that shop in Sanford, Whoses. Well, I wasn't thinking of getting anything like that, but Sure. When your French Catholic Canadian grandma wants to buy you a little something for your honeymoon, I just think you have to say yes. The August light streams in through the windshield on the ride to Sanford. The leather seats are warming up and I am drowsy. Meme is rolling her thumbs around and around each other like she does. We don't feel the need to talk. Suze's is an old ladies' store in Sanford, one of the few left in southern Maine. One of the thick-ankled ladies with no waist bustles around with a tape measure hanging off her shoulder and greets us at the door. I'm not sure I can answer them when they ask if they can help me, but Meme pipes right up. We're looking for a little something for her wedding night. You have that sort of thing, right? Oh, you ladies have it all. Meme adores Suze's. She bought a red dress here to wear to my wedding. They all fawned over her, bringing her dress after dress to try on. Meme doesn't get much fussing over anymore. In the end, she paid way too much, but as she said, it's a once-in-a-lifetime buy. The helmet-headed sales clerk smiles sideways at us. Right this way, girls. The whole rack is lingerie. Let me know if you need help. Oh, and please keep your underwear on when trying on the garments. You know, sanitary reasons. I laugh in an of course way, but I don't wear underwear. Breaking the rules will make me nervous, so I just don't bring it up. Under the watchful eyes of two women over 70, one of whom is my grandmother, I pick out a lovely little peach teddy, an ivory camisole, and matching panties. I don't know what I'm doing. I throw a forced smile towards the sales lady. She gives me an encouraging nod. I'm uncomfortable with undergarments. Bare skin seems much sexier to me, but I keep looking and smiling and nodding. From the other side of the rack, Meme holds up a black crotchless getup and says too loudly, "How about this one, darling? This is nice." Everyone in Suze's is looking at us. I stuff my Puritan choices back on the rack. On the way home, we don't talk about the little black number in my shopping bag. It could be a cardigan or a turtleneck in there for all we don't say about it. In 2 weeks, I'll be trotting it out for my new husband. I imagine sashaying out of the bathroom. "Hey, baby, just a little present from my Meme. You like?" As I give him a tiny glimpse of my lace-lined thighs. When we get to Meme's trailer, I hate to say goodbye. I don't like leaving you here all alone. I tell her this often. Oh, darling, we all make our own choices. And don't forget, save your present for after the wedding. I hug her extra long. She pulls away and gives me a little slap on my bum. Go. I've got a date with Tom Brokaw. On the day of my wedding, I watched Meme climb out of my uncle's car in her red dress from Suze's. She looks perfect. Those girls set her up beautifully. I cross to the field to give her a hug. We look at each other and grin. The photographer snaps a picture. That night in a bed and breakfast in New Hampshire, I wear a black, crotchless, lacy teddy that drives my new husband to sexual hysteria. I wonder if this is what Meme had in mind.
Oh my God, wonderful, wonderful.
So this next piece is an excerpt from a chapter entitled Emancipated. And it's a long drive to New York where my Aunt Elaine, or Aunt Eve as I call her in here, has taken my grandmother to live with her. And we live in Ogunquit, so it's quite a Ogunquit, Maine. And it's a long, horrible drive with my mother and my sister. And I skipped all that part and I just got to us getting there. By the time we pull into the hospital, both Mom and Sophia are asleep. Mom spent several miles quietly crying. I couldn't bring myself to reach out to her. I slam the car door and fling myself toward the hospital where my grandmother is, each step a mini fit. I don't want to share this moment with my mother or my aunt. For 2 years, Mom and Aunt Eve have chaperoned Meme and me like we were two young lovers. You found us! My aunt is rushing towards me like a choking weed. Fortunately, Mom is right behind me and entangles herself in the brambles of my aunt's arms. I pick and roll past them. Mom was right. Be prepared to be shocked. Behind the door that says Bucher, Meme is all white, a tiny white bird angel, her two thin hands dancing like a newborn's in the air above her bed. Hi, Meme. It's me, Suze. Your favorite, I whisper before anyone gets there. She doesn't respond. I sit on the edge of the bed. Hi, sweetie. It's me, Suze. Meme's eyes flicker with a little recognition. Her dancing hands rise up toward my face. I lean in and she brushes my cheek with paper-thin skin and bone hands. Does she know you? My sister whispers as she enters. I don't know. And I really don't. Hi, Meme, it's Sophia. Hi, how you doing, sweetie? We both coo and stroke Meme like she's a baby. I told you it'd be shocking, didn't I? Oh, she's even worse than 3 weeks ago when I was here. I want to cold cock my mother. Why is she still in the hospital? I asked my aunt. Well, after she broke her hip, she deteriorated. We thought it would be best to keep her in here for round-the-clock care. I didn't have the stamina to keep her at home. My aunt's red hair is graying. You're not going to leave her in here, are you? Do I mean to sound so accusatory? Eve looks down at her pale hands. Your mother and I think it's best. Her words, stinging nettle, wraps around my throat. Hi, Mom. Hi, pretty. Did you miss me? Mom asks while she and Eve get to work straightening out Meme's bedclothes. Mom should have been a nurse. Well, I hope you girls don't mind heading back to the house after you say hello. I have been here all day and I'm exhausted. I told Wayne I'd be home to make supper. My aunt does look very tired. I'm going to stay at the hospital, I say. I'll sleep in a chair. My mother and my aunt look at each other worried. My aunt has an idea. How about I drive with your mom and Sophia and you take my car back when you're ready? Ooh, they hate the idea of me staying over. There's a possibility that Meme will come to her old self in the night and we will once again share secrets that they will never know. I'll write you out the directions. It's easy, my aunt says. You'll sleep with Sophia in the cellar. We'll leave the nightlights on so you can find your way. Eve looks washed out by her hair and the situation. That's what I have to look forward to, I think, wearily, fingering my own red hair. You know what? I really, really want to stay here, but thanks anyway. Well, let's get going before dark, Mom concedes. I hate driving new places in the dark. I'll drive, my sister, Sophie, takes over. I smile at her in appreciation. She winks back. As soon as they're out the door, I take off my shoes and crawl into Meme's bed. I slide her under my arm, guide her head onto my chest, and stroke her bedhead hair. She is as stiff as bones. Her hands come to rest for a minute. Then she turns into me and touches my hair, searching my eyes. She sees me. She knows me. She fixates on my hair. I untuck my braid from my shirt and let her feel it. Pat, pat, pat. I'm starting to doze when I hear her. Alouette, gentille alouette, alouette, gentille plumerée. She stops. I hold and rock my baby grandmother. Au clair de la lune, mon ami Perrault. I sing our favorite song while Meme falls asleep, dry lips puffing out with each breath. I wake up with an aching amount of dread, like it is the morning of my execution. shooing the nurse out after she empties the catheter bag. I sponge bathe Meme, comb her hair, and try to fit her dentures in. Her mouth did shrink. Mom was telling the truth. I stick the blue striped straw into a tepid cup of tea and cap the end of it with my index finger. I remove the straw and place the other end of it gently under Meme's dry tongue, then pull my finger off to release the milky tea into her mouth. Swallow, I say gently. She swallows, says nothing, sings nothing. Her hands are constantly moving. Our last tea party. The hospital room smells like castor oil. Meme is sitting up, strapped to a metal armchair, listing to one side. Mourning dove on a wire in a windstorm. Her hair sticks straight up. I want to cut a lock of your hair. Is that okay? I look down at her hands in mine. Go ahead. Incredulous, I look back up at Meme, and then I realize it's Mom's voice. How odd to get permission from someone whose hair it isn't. I don't know when she and my sister got here, but I'm glad to see them. I hug Sophia as Mom goes to the nurse's station for some scissors. How was it? My sister's voice is little and scared. She doesn't deal well with illness or hospitals or goodbyes. We sang and snuggled. Did she know you? Maybe, just for a minute. I don't know. Do you want some time alone with her? No, I'm fine. My sister sits at Meme's feet and rests her head on her Meme's knees. Loss opens up inside me like a crevice. I am absolutely empty when Mom passes me the scissors. Snip. I put the hair in my locket and pass my sister the scissors. Snip. She hands the scissors to Mom. Snip. Mom puts the scissors on the tray. For several minutes, my mother, my sister, and I do some kind of braille memorization of Meme. Her paper skin and brittle bones feel foreign. Our sobs keep time by snapping the air like electrical shorts. Mom cuts the wordless quiet with a frail voice. She's so emancipated. Wrong word blips across my brain. I make a conscious decision to let it pass. Silence. That's not the right word, Mom says, is it? No, I answer. What do I mean to say? Emaciated. Emaciated. Pause. What does emancipated mean? It means she can vote. Well, she can vote, but I don't think she wants to right now. My mom starts whooping with laughter. 3 nurses are staring at us through the open door. We are laughing so hard, I feel a muscle in my side tear. My sister pees her pants a little, as she often does when laughing. Mom throws her head back so far you can hear her neck crack. Meme stares off into the distance as we fall around her. Goodbye, Meme. We emancipate you.
Wow.
And I have time for a little more, right? It's
Yes,
4:30.
you do. Yes,
Oh,
please.
wow.
Yes.
I was so afraid I would have too much. Okay. This is my grandmother and I we had this club we called the Vidalia Club. And she loved Vidalia onions. And whenever they were in, we'd grocery shop together a lot. And it was so lovely. And it was one of our favorite things to do. And the Vidalias are in, she would call me, and we'd go off to the grocery store and the Shop and Save, and we'd get a big bag, and we'd come home and we'd make a boiled dinner with kielbasa and potatoes, and we'd make a feast of it. And then we would always snuggle on the couch and do the crossword puzzle from the National Enquirer, because Meme loved to read it and believe every story that she read. And we would do the crossword puzzle in the back. And so this is actually at Meme's funeral, which was in Wilton, Maine. And this is just an excerpt from the chapter called Final Crossword. My grandmother's 4 children stand at the edge of the grave as my born-again Auntie Eve begins the service. Blah, 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 wah, wah, heaven, wah, blah, 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 with Jesus, wah, 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 amen. When she's finished, which isn't soon enough, my Uncle Russell, who now lives in Canada, tells us a story. Rosie used to feed this homeless guy who'd come into the store in New York pretty regularly. I was helping out when I was home from college once a week, and he came in. He was a ratty old fella. But Roro was real chatty with him while she made him about the biggest roast beef sandwich I ever laid eyes on. She talked to him like he was anybody, like he was just some regular customer. When she passed him the sandwich, that guy held onto her hands real tight. Roro didn't bat an eye. She just smiled at him and squeezed his hands. You could tell how grateful he was to her. On his way out, he walked right over to me and said, "Young man, your mother is a saint." He was right, that guy was. Mom was a saint. Russell's voice catches on his feelings, and he stops. I can't look at Mom as she takes her turn. Her dress has billowed out like a sloop's mainsail. She's reading from the Bible. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, and so on and so forth, and on and on and on. I can barely listen. When she finally thwops the good book shut, her eulogy takes an authentic turn. Rosie took good care of me and my kids, the best of care, really. We never wanted for anything. I could always count on her. I used to stand behind her skirts when I was little, and she let me for a very long time. But now she's gone. Excuse me. Mom's voice cracks as she looks at me. I look at her, then back at my feet, and lose our momentary connection. My Uncle Kenny, who is usually the life of the party, is as sullen as I've ever seen a person. He mumbles something I can't understand while Aunt Norma rubs his back. Sophia is crying too hard to speak, and my brother Kenny is too shy, so it's my turn. Meme loved Vidalia onions and baked potatoes and playing cards, and she loved all of us, and her love was perfect. If heaven does exist, Meme is there now buying groceries for Jesus and Mary. But I bet they don't stock this at heaven's checkout stand, and I knew Meme would miss it. I hold up the latest National Enquirer. Everyone laughs in spite of themselves. And then it's time. My dad, the uncles, and the hearse driver lower Meme into her grave while we sing Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I step up to the hole, and I let the National Enquirer flutter down into the deep forever. And that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.